Automatic, Addison.
In this tutorial, we'll dive into the world of coordinate frames, the backbone of mobile robot navigation using ROS2. Imagine you're a robot. You're trying to move around in a room. To do that effectively, you need to understand where you are, where your sensors are, and how to translate the information they provide into a format you can use to navigate safely. That's where coordinate transformations come into play. Different sensors provide data in their own coordinate frames like LiDAR, cameras, and IMUs. Coordinate transformations convert this data into a common frame, usually the robot base frame, making it easier to process and use for navigation. Why are coordinate transformations so important in robotics? Well, think about it like this. Your robot is like a person with two eyes, a LiDAR and a depth camera. The LiDAR measures distances to objects, while the depth camera provides a 3D image of the environment. These sensors are located at different positions on the robot, so they have different perspectives. Now, to navigate safely in the world, the robot needs to combine the obstacle detection information from both sensors into a common understanding of its surroundings. This is where coordinate transformations come in. They act as a translator, converting the information from each sensor's unique perspective into a shared language, the robot's base coordinate frame. Now, by expressing the LiDAR and depth camera data in the same coordinate frame, the robot can effectively merge the information and create a unified obstacle map of its environment. This allows the robot to plan paths and avoid obstacles, taking into account its own dimensions and the location of objects detected by both sensors, the camera and the LiDAR. In essence, coordinate transformations enable the robot to make sense of the world by unifying the different perspectives of its sensors. Okay, let's launch the mobile robot and let's bring it to life. So open a terminal window and type the following command. I have the alias. Just so you know, I have an alias called X3, which runs this bash script. You'll see that in prior tutorials. So if you're a little lost, you can go back to the tutorial where we create the URDF file for the Yaboom ROS Master X3 and we launch it. So I have a short script here, X3, which launches the robot. Let's launch it now. RViz and Gazebo get cranking. And when that's done, everything comes up. You should see your robot in Gazebo as well as RViz. Give it some time. Now everything is loaded. The logs have stopped. Let's take a look at the coordinate frame. So you've got RViz open. You've got your displays panel right here on the left-hand side. And I want you to untick robot model. Okay. And let's go down here and let's click show axes and click show names under TF. So now we just have a view of the different coordinate axes. The red is the x-axis, the green is the y-axis, and the blue is the z-axis. So we've got different coordinate axes for the different parts of our robot. So you've got the back right wheel, the back left wheel, the front right wheel, the front left wheel, and then we've got different coordinate frames for the sensor. So laser frame, you can't see it, but we've got the camera frame in here. All the text is all bunched up. We've got our base footprint, and we've got our base link above that, and the laser frame up here at the top. All of our coordinate frames. So these frames are 3D coordinate systems that define the position and orientation of the different parts of your robot. So each part of your robot, such as the base, the LiDAR, or the depth camera, has its own coordinate frame. And just to emphasize, remember, a coordinate frame consists of 3 perpendicular axes. So by convention, Red is the x-axis, green is the y-axis, and blue is the z-axis. The origin of each coordinate frame, for example, right here, is the point where all of these three axes intersect. The right-hand rule is a helpful reminder, okay, of the orientation of these axes. Remember the right-hand rule. So take your right hand and point your index finger forward as you see in the image. That represents the x-axis. That's the red axis. Now take your middle finger and point it towards the left. That represents the y-axis. It's green. And now point your thumb towards the sky. Your thumb represents the blue, the x-axis. That's the right-hand rule of robotics. Very important. You're going to counter this rule again and again throughout your robotics career. So memorize it, tattoo it to your forehead, tattoo it to your arm. Very important. As a friendly reminder, if you ever want to see the hierarchy of coordinate frames for your robot in a PDF file, you can do this. So go to a terminal window. Let's open up a new window. And let's just, for example, go to CD downloads. Just a random folder. It can be any folder. Doesn't need to be downloads. Okay, let's clear that out. And let's do ROS2 run TF2 underscore tools and then view underscore frames. And enter. And it looks like we don't have TF2. Oh, it's TF2 tools. TF2 tools. Okay, we do have it installed. I'm just going to quickly. Okay, and let's clear that. And we should have a file in here, which starts with frames. See if we can find it. There it is. Frames 2025. The date, the time, .pdf. Now let's do events. Use events, which is the Linux PDF viewer. Type frame, and then press the tab button to autocomplete. And let's take a look at it. There we go. Here are all our coordinate frames for our robot and the environment. It's got the odometry frame, base footprint, base link, the different frames of our robot body, and the sensors like the camera frame, the IMU, inertial measurement unit link, and the laser frame. So how does NAV2, the ROS2 navigation stack, use these coordinate frames? So the NAV2 package for ROS2, it makes extensive use of these frames that you see right here in this PDF to enable a robot to navigate autonomously through an environment. It uses coordinate transformations not just for obstacle detection, but also localization. So imagine your robot as a character in a video game. Just like how the game keeps track of the character's position in the game world, NAV2 uses coordinate transformations to keep track of the robot's position and orientation in the real world. Okay, and while we're at it, I want you to know a concept, okay, called ROS enhancement proposals. Called ROS enhancement proposals. Let's just Google that. Okay, ROS enhancement proposals, called REPs. Okay, and you can see that here, ROS enhancement proposals, right here. And you can read about that, REPs. So when it comes to configuring your robot for autonomous navigation, these REPs are the guidelines to make sure everyone's robot can play nicely with NAV2. So 2 important reps for NAV2. I think the ones that you should really focus on. It's rep 105. Let's just go to Google again. I'll do rep 105. Okay, and it's called Coordinate Frames for Mobile Platforms. So this document right here, this rep 105, explains how to name and describe the different coordinate frames. You can think of them as different perspectives for mobile robots. Got all the different rules, okay? And these aren't hard and fast like rules, you know, like they're not going to put you in jail if you don't abide by them, but they're good best practices and standards to follow if you want to make sure that your software is compatible with other ROS2 packages and systems. So it's good to follow it as much as you can. And another important one is Rep 103. So let's click on that one. And this one is called Standard Units of Measure and Coordinate Conventions. And this guideline right here talks about using standard units of measurement, such as meters for distance, and following certain rules for describing positions and orientation. Now, NAV2, let's go over here, just so you can go to the website for NAV2, which I haven't shown it yet in this tutorial. NAV2, here's the website right here. Pretty cool. Okay, and NAV2, the whole ROS2 navigation stack, follows these reps, these guidelines, to ensure it can work well with other ROS2 packages. Okay, let's clear this out. All right, and now let's go ahead. You could, by the way, you can close out your Control-C, close out all your simulation. So let's talk about right now the key coordinate frames for NAV2, okay? So the four most important coordinate frames for NAV2 are as follows. Base link. The base link is usually the center point of your robot's base. So no matter how much the robot moves or turns, the base link stays put and is the unifying reference point for your mobile robot's movement and sensors. We've also got the base footprint, which is below the base link. And the base footprint, this coordinate frame, is a projection of the base link frame onto the ground plane. NAV2 uses the base footprint link to determine the robot's position relative to the ground and nearby obstacles. Another important coordinate frame is the ODOM frame, odometry frame. This is the robot's starting point. Think of the ODOM frame like the odometer on your car that measures the distance the car has traveled from some starting point, maybe the car factory. So the ODOM frame in NAV2 keeps track of the robot's position and orientation relative to its starting position and orientation. The data from the ODOM frame is usually based on wheel encoders or other sensors. Like an odometer for your car, the ODOM frame can drift over time due to small errors accumulating, like wheel slippage, for example. You know, it's really slippery and your wheels can slip, okay? So that can make it the odometry frame unreliable for making a long-term estimate of how far the robot has traveled and which way the robot is turned. Now, finally, the fourth, last but not least, the fourth coordinate frame that's very important for NAV2 is the map frame. The map frame provides a global, long-term reference for the robot's position and orientation in an environment. It is constantly updated by a localization system that uses sensor data to correct any drift in the robot's estimated position. The map frame is like a car's GPS system. It shows the car's location on a global map, ensuring the car's position remains accurate over long distances. However, just like the GPS update, the robot's position in the map frame can sometimes jump suddenly when the localization system makes corrections. For NAV2 to do its job, it needs to know how these coordinate frames relate to each other. NAV2 requires the following specific transformations between coordinate frames to be published over ROS2. First, the map to ODOM transform. Okay, this transform connects the global map frame to the robot's odometry frame. It's usually provided by a localization or mapping package such as AMCL, which you'll learn about later, which constantly updates the robot's estimated position in the map. Then you have the ODOM to base link frame. This transform relates the robot's odometry frame to its base frame. It's typically published by the robot's odometry system, which combines data from sensors like wheel encoders and IMUs using packages like robot localization. We will see how to do this in a future tutorial. Then you've got the base link to sensor frames. These transforms describe the relationship between the robot's base frame and its sensor frame, such as laser frame for your LiDAR. If your robot has multiple sensors, each sensor frame needs a transform to the base link frame. Transformations are important for several aspects of NAV2's functionality. Number one, localization. By combining sensor data with transform information, NAV2 can estimate the robot's position and orientation in the environment. Number two, we've got path planning. Nav2's path planner uses transforms to create a path from the robot's current position to its goal in the map frame. The planned path is then transformed into the robot's base frame for execution. Then you've got recovery behaviors. When the robot encounters issues during navigation, such as an obstacle it can't get past, Nav2's recovery behaviors use transform information to help the robot get back on track. So, in summary, transformations help the robot understand its surroundings, keep track of its position, and navigate safely. By following ROS guidelines and managing these transforms, Nav2 ensures your robot can explore the world with ease. That's it for the theory. In the next tutorials, you will get hands-on practice with these concepts. Thank you for watching this tutorial and keep building.